The second word, verily, verily, thou shalt be with me in paradise today. And they crucified him with two criminals, one on the right and the other on the left. And one of the criminals who were hanged there was hurling abuse at him, saying, Are you not the Christ? Save yourself and us. But the other answered and rebuking him said, Do you not even fear God, since you are under the same sentence of condemnation? And we indeed justly, for we are receiving what we deserve for our deeds. This man has done nothing wrong. And he was saying, Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom. And he said to him, Truly I say to you, today you shall be with me in paradise.
Truly I say to you, today you shall be with me in paradise. The second word, it's a theologian's dream. So many questions to answer. What do you mean today? What do you mean paradise? So many things to wonder about, so many issues to take up. We've done that before. Last year, year before that, we've handled the theological issues of the second word. It's probably still there on the COTK website if you want to look at it. It's pretty interesting. Today, though, let's look at the practical side of this second word. This is the only word out of the 7 that Jesus speaks in response to someone else's question or request. His word was only spoken when the thief on the cross made a request and said, Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom. That's what prompted the second word. So let's look at this request first, and then look at the response, the second word of Jesus. When this person, first of all, said to his co-criminal, What are you giving this guy such a hard time for? Don't you realize we're under the same condemnation? And he's not even guilty. And then he said, Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom. And I guess my initial reaction would be perhaps like yours. Can you imagine the gall? This guy sees Jesus Christ torn, bleeding profusely, in agony, hanging there, knowing he has but a short time to live. And his response is, Oh, Jesus, wow, you're looking pretty rough. That looks serious. But enough about you. Let's talk about me. What can you do for me? I'm very sorry that you're in pain. I'm very sorry that you're about to die. But let's talk about me. What can you do for me? My goodness. How presumptuous is this guy? How arrogant is this guy? What a surprising request. I mean, of all the gall to say, yeah, I see you got trouble. Let's talk about mine. Wow. And the thing is, if he only knew, he didn't know the half of what had been going on in the last 24 hours of Jesus' life. Definitely not his best day. It started at the Last Supper when the disciples that he'd been training for 3.5 years suddenly came up with the most infantile and juvenile questions and behavior at the Last Supper. They were arguing over who should be the greatest. Jesus would say, I've been longing to share this Passover with you. And they say things like, you said we're going to follow you, but Jesus, we don't know the way. Or, Jesus, show us the Father, and that'll be enough for us. He's like, I've been with you all this time and you don't know the Father yet? Or they said things like, oh, Jesus, now you finally stopped speaking in figures of speech. Now we can truly understand him. And they just let him down over and over and over. And then when he said, one of you going to betray me, they didn't even believe him. Did they not see his track record? Even in the last few weeks or days, when Jesus said, our friend Lazarus is dead, but I'm going to go there and raise him up. And he actually did that. Or just 5 days before, when he told a couple of them, okay, go into the village opposite and you'll find a coat tied there. Untie it and bring it here. In other words, steal a horse, which is not legal, nor appreciated back then or now. And if anybody tries to stop you, just say, the Lord has need of it, and they'll let you take it. And it happened that way. Or that very day, he told them, okay, who's booked the upper room for the Last Supper? Oh, I thought you did it. I thought you did it. Oh, shucks. Jesus says, here's what you do. Go into a particular place and ask the man, the first man you see coming out the door. The master says, where's the room that he's booked for? This is the Passover. They've been booked for weeks. There's nothing available. It's like that no room at the inn thing back at the Nativity. And yet, it happened. They should know by now they can trust the word of Jesus. And yet, when he said, one of you is going to betray me, no way, no way, not going to happen. Wasn't even trusted by his own disciples. Then, of course, there was the thing of sleeping in the garden just hours before. And the other thing, when the soldiers came, they all ran away. Big disappointment there. And here he is on the cross, abuse is being hurled at him. In his trial, called all sorts of names, blasphemer, deceiver, all sorts of things that people were accusing him of, from the high priest and the chief priest and the elders, to the bystanders, to the false witnesses, people saying false things about him. All this he's enduring on top of the physical things. And the most sensitive thing this guy can think of to say is, hey, Jesus, can you help me out here? Wow. As I said, very presumptuous and very arrogant. But you know something interesting about this fellow? They call him St. Dismas. He's one of only 4 people in the last 18 hours who've had anything to say good about Jesus. He's the one that told his fellow thief, hey, this guy's done nothing wrong, yet he's under this condemnation. Sounds a little bit like Pontius Pilate. Pontius Pilate was another one who, of all people, had something good to say about Jesus. They said, why do you want to crucify this man? He has done nothing wrong. This was Pilate, the one who signed the death order. You know who else had something good to say about Jesus? Pilate's wife. When she said, don't get mixed up with any kind of plot against that righteous man. She called Jesus a righteous man. Everybody else was calling him a sinner and a friend of harlots and publicans and all that. She called him a righteous man. And then the 4th person that had something positive to say about Jesus was Judas. Judas went to the chief priest and said, I've betrayed innocent blood. He called Jesus innocent. Isn't it interesting that in the last 24 hours, the only 4 people that had anything positive to say about Jesus were not what you call positive characters. Judas, Pilate, his wife, and Dismas the thief. So, given that, you know, you would think you couldn't forgive, you couldn't blame Jesus. You could excuse him if he said, what do you want? Do you mind? Can you not see that, I'm in a little bit of distress here? I'm in a little bit of stress, kind of stressed out. Could you not see that? Do you not realize that I'm carrying the sin of the world on my shoulders at this moment? And yeah, let's talk about these shoulders. You notice there's not a lot of skin left. It's pretty much muscle and bone and sinew. It's been ripped up. And you want to talk about, can I take you with me to paradise? Wow. That would probably be my reaction. Surprising question, right? Very insensitive. And an even more surprising answer. The second word, truly, I say to you, this day you shall be with me in paradise. To this insensitive, boorish, presumptuous criminal, Jesus said, truly, not just, well, let me think about it, for sure, truly, this day. You see, what's surprising is, what we maybe don't realize is, Jesus responds to persistence. Remember his parable about the persistent widow? And said, be like this person who might be irritating, might be arrogant, might be presumptuous every day going to the judge. Give me justice, give me justice, give me justice. Jesus honored that. What we might term as presumptuousness, he termed it as persistence. Is this not the Jesus who said in his most important sermon ever, the Sermon on the Mount, ask and you shall receive. Seek and you shall find. Knock and the door shall be opened to you. What we might term presumptuousness, Jesus terms persistence. Jesus' own brother, St. James, said, you have not because you ask not. So maybe this thief wasn't as awful as we think. Maybe he was acting and responding more in a Christ-like character than we would realize. I don't know. All I know is Jesus' answer, the third word. Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom. Sure. Does today work for you? No need for pencil booking. No need for any of this, I have your people call my people. Forget all that. Let's do it. Today. Amazing word. Because Jesus is an amazing Messiah and Son of God.